Hi everybody. Hi everyone. I just thought I'd pop by because I'm very excited. Today is an exciting day for me. I had a really crazy busy day yesterday. Probably many of you don't know, but I do these occasionally throughout the year. I do these lecture tour guide things through this amazing house which was built in 1968. It's very sort of Austin Powers meets James Bond. It's a phenomenal art collection there. Everything from Rodin through to Elizabeth Frink and Barbara Hepworth, Henry Moore. It's just a fantastic collection, and I do that because I really enjoy it, and also because it's fun. So I just wanted to pop by really to have a chat with you guys to let you know that I'm going to be doing a live broadcast next week as well, and uh, it's going to be probably sometime in the middle of the week. I haven't really quite decided when yet, but I also need to know what I'm going to do it about, because we did it on Rumi and Catherine May, and I also read a little bit of John O'Donoghue last week. Well, this week actually, it was on Tuesday, and I thought it was really interesting, and it actually got me reading a bit more Rumi, and I found that reading the Rumi has made me sort of come back into myself, and it's lovely because Rumi just gives you that quiet space within your body to really think about what's important in life, and it's really helped me. So I've gone back into that, and I've really enjoyed delving back in there. So I've made a couple of recordings actually for the next which I'm going to post over the next few days, which are readings of me reading some Rumi with some lovely little clips of video that I took yesterday, and it's very peaceful and very calming. And it made me think about the books I read during lockdown, because those are all things that I sort of delved into during lockdown, because I found they brought me a lot of kind of solace during that time. And it suddenly reminded me of this amazing book, which I highly recommend. It's called The Secret Lives of Colour, and it's by Kassia St Clair, and it's just fantastic. And it's a book which is all about colour and stories about colour and where the colour originated from, little funny anecdotes about colour, historic kind of delves into the history of those particular colours, but also it connects it with lots of sort of real life events that happened, and people's little foibles and things about those colours. So I'm going to read a little bit on fuchsia, because fuchsia, and that's why I'm wearing this scarf, which was actually my mum's scarf. Apparently, she says fuchsia was voted the most unpopular colour in 1998. Now, look, I've got my roses. I can't do this because it's all backwards. Just sort of there, wherever, there behind me. They're pretty much fuchsia. And I think it's fantastic. I think it's a fantastic, bright, lovely colour that can actually just bring a lot of liveliness and happiness and joy to your day. So I'm just going to read this little bit about fuchsia so that perhaps, we get a little bit more of an understanding about the history of the colour fuchsia. So fuchsia is one of the many colours that owes its name to a flower. And although the fuchsia's distinctive double-skirted flowers actually come in a variety of ballerina hues, including whites, reds, pinks and purples, it's an achingly bright blue-based pink that adopted the name. Today, that might not be considered much of an honour, and fuchsia was voted one of the 3 least popular colours in Britain in 1998. And the word has been the bane of spelling bee entrants for years. However, the story behind the flower's name is, at its heart, about love, the love of botany. Hippocrates, born sometime around 460 BC on the island of Kos, is perhaps the earliest known person to have shown a considered interest in plant life. His study was related to the practice of medicine. Many plants were used to treat ailments or to cause them, and a good doctor needed to know which was which. Later came another Greek, Theophrastus, in 371 to 287 BC, who published the first treatise on the subject. Then Pliny an Elder, 23 to 27 AD, who mentioned over 800 species of flora in his Natural History, and Avicenna, the Persian philosopher, scientist and prodigious author, some 240 of his titles still survive, who was born around 980, over 500 years later. However, when Leonard Fuchs who was studying to become a physician in Bavaria, began his own researches into plants, the field had barely advanced at all. To rectify the situation, Fuchs began creating a garden that he filled with every kind of plant he could lay his hands on. All the likenesses of him from that time show a man with a plant grasped in one hand and a singularly focused expression. He applied to friends all over Europe and those setting off to explore to the New World, beseeching them to send him samples and descriptions of plants that they came across. The fruit of all his hard work, the finely illustrated De Historia Stirpium Commentarii Insignis, Noble Commentaries of the History of Plants, was finally published in 1542. We have devoted the greatest diligence, Fuchs proudly wrote, so that every plant should be depicted with its own roots, stalks, leaves, flowers, seeds, and fruits. These artists worked on the book's 512 images. Altogether, it described some 400 wild and 100 cultivated plants, including descriptions of species from the New World that few Europeans had ever seen before, such as the chili pepper. The name he gave it meant big pod in Latin. He also gave evocative names to plants that people must have seen hundreds of times, like the beautiful Digitalis purpurai, which means purple fingers, to the common foxglove. Strangely, though, Leonard Fuchs never saw the plant that now bears his name. Though now common across much of the world, the first specimen known to Europeans wasn't found until 1703, some 137 years later, after Fuchs' death, growing wild on the island of Hispaniola in the Caribbean. The man who found it, Pierre Charles Plumier, was a botanist. Wanting to honour his hero, he named it in Fuchs' honour the Fuchsia. So I think that's really fascinating. I really enjoy that. I love learning about things like that. And colour is so interesting. In fact, my son did his thesis on the colour blue and the history of blue, which was so fascinating when he was younger. So I am going to go and enjoy my fuchsias. My fuchsias haven't come out quite yet, actually. They are going to be out hopefully within the next sort of month or so. I've got those ones which are they're the hardy ones which come up every year, so I cut them back very hard and then hopefully they'll come back. So I'm waiting for them to come back this year because I find them really pretty, like little sort of ballerinas dancing around, little fairies. And my foxgloves, which I scattered, I had one big giant foxglove in my garden when I moved here, and I've scattered them everywhere in the garden, and now as a perennial, now they're flowering this year, which is fabulous. So I'll take some video and some pictures of that too to show you. But I think I'm going to delve into this book every now and again and read you a piece about the different types of colour, because a different history of colour, because it's really fascinating. At least I find it fascinating. Anyway, I hope you have a really, really lovely day. I'm not sure what you're up to today. It's Thursday here, so Thursday is the new Friday, I think, in sort of the UK. And I am going to have a gentle day. I've got something very exciting arriving later, which is a stand for my laptop, which means I'll be able to take it all around my house and set my cameras up, well, my laptop up, and things up for my live feeds wherever I want. So it's not just going to be boring pictures of my study behind me. So hopefully you'll enjoy having a little explore around once that comes. So I look forward to playing around with that later. But I'm going to have a quiet day, so I hope you enjoy your day and have a much needed rest if you need it. Be kind to yourself as ever, and love yourself as ever, which I think sometimes it's hard for us to do, isn't it? And just enjoy yourself. I mean, if I were you, I'd dig out some of your books that you've forgotten about and just put your feet up and make yourself a nice hot drink and sit there and have a little ponder through some of the, maybe some poems or maybe some short stories, so you don't overwhelm yourself. Or start that novel that you always wanted to start that's been sitting on your shelf for ages, collecting dust. Or maybe even start writing. Perhaps you'd like to start writing your novel. But you know what? After my mum died, I thought there's so many stories in my head which are all going to be gone unless I write them down, so my children won't know about them. The kind of history of growing up, really. Funny little anecdotes and quips, and also stories that you come across or that you sort of remember that make you smile or that were quite upsetting. So I thought, this is how am I going to arrange these stories? So I started writing it, and the way I started writing it was because we had to go through the house and sort everything out. obviously, and give things to charity, and people came and collected the things that they wanted from the family or her close friends. So what I did was, if I found something like, say, I don't know, her hairbrushes, I'd start the story, 19 hairbrushes. That would be the beginning of the chapter. And then I would write the story about how my mum used to cut my hair, or whatever it was that connected to that. So it would be, 24 white pedal pushers, or 6 tea strainers, or 24 flower pots, or whatever it was. And then I would write the story about it, and I found that really helped me. So if you're at that point where you're sort of teetering on the edge, and you want to write your story, or you want to write your memoirs, or you want to write things down for your children, or for your friends, or for your lover, or your partner, or your school teacher, or whoever it is that you have, that you feel that you have to tell your story, otherwise you'll take everything with you once you pop your clogs, then I would suggest that you do it in little sort of bite-sized pieces, because they're sometimes the most nourishing, and they're sometimes the most interesting. And actually, once you start doing that, it's just quite hilarious, and it can be quite sad as well. It depends what you're writing about. But if you make, the obscenity of my mother having 24 pairs of white pedal pushers. 24 pairs! Who wears 24 pairs of white pedal pushers all at once? And who even keeps all of them? Even if you've gone from a size 8 to a size 18, why would you keep the ones that you can no longer, the really tiny ones that you can no longer fit into? Anyway, she did. And so I just found it quite obscene, but now looking back on it, I think it's just quite funny. I can laugh at it because it's ridiculous. Anyway, I'm going to leave you to your day. I'm going to crack on with mine, and I'm going to have a nice quiet day, and just enjoy it, because the weather's not fantastic. It's not raining like it was yesterday and the day before, but it's going to be my day today, quiet and peaceful. And I hope that you can have a quiet and peaceful day too. I might delve back into that book actually, and see if there's anything else that's worth reading, and perhaps pop back tomorrow with a reading from that, because it is quite fun. And if there are any particular colours that are your favourite, then please do let me know, and I will read about them. It's really fascinating, and it's kind of educating as well. And I think we could probably all do with a little bit of that sometimes, don't you? I certainly know I could. Sometimes I feel like doing Ravenous Butterflies, I've learned more here than I ever learned at university, and I've learned more about people, and I've learned more about the emotional scape of people, and how the mind works, and how art and literature can really help people come out of the doldrums that they're in, and improve mental health and well-being. I've really learned a lot about that. I've also learned a lot about art, obviously, because I do a lot of research into that, a lot about literature, a lot about books, and a lot about mental health. So I found it really, really amazing that I've actually probably done the equivalent of about 10 degrees doing this, probably a couple of PhDs as well. But anyway, who's counting? Not me. I just absolutely enjoy it, and I love it, and it makes me quite good for quizzes, pub quizzes and things. Except pub quizzes, and they never ask you questions about art and literature. It's always about soap operas and football, which I'm not into at all. So anyway, okay, on that note, I'm going to love you and leave you, and I'm going to leave you to the rest of your amazing day, which I hope you're going to have. And I will be back. And I will be back with my new contraption, so that I can have weird jaunty angles and, as I said, different positions in my house, so that we can have some more interesting backgrounds for you. And so I'm going to go and love you and leave you. So lots and lots of love, and I hope you have a fabulous, fabulous day. And thank you so much for dropping by. And keep me posted with what you're up to. Keep me posted with what you'd like me to read at my next live reading, which will be sometime, as I said, next week. And in the meantime, I'll drop in with a few live feeds like this and do some poetry reading for you as well. All right. Lots of love. Take care. Have a really, really amazing day, and enjoy your evening as well. And stay safe, keep well, and lots of love.